Hello, welcome to the Manic Pixie Dream vlog. This might be a little bit of a shorter vlog. I don't really have a whole lot to say. I went out last night. I like going out. I don't always like going out, but sometimes I really like going out. And it's weird. It's like one of the first nights I went out and was like sober most of the night. And I got invited out by a friend to go to this event. There's the Roosevelt has this new club opening called Teddy, and so it was like its opening night, and I was like, oh, that sounds really exciting, and so I wanted to go, and so I took a night off from work and stuff to go to this thing, and I showed up at about 11, and I was in the DJ area and stuff, and so for most of the night I they didn't get bottle service until like 12:30, and usually there's bottle service once you get there and stuff. And so how it works is club promoters will get girls to come to the club. They'll fill up a booth with girls and stuff, and then they'll invite guys to come and buy drinks for the girls in the booth. And so you just kind of need to just sit around and wait for guys to buy you alcohol. So for about an hour and a half, I was there, and I was like dancing and listening to music and talking to some girls and talking to some guys and stuff, but I was completely sober, hadn't had anything. And it was just boring. It was kind of boring. I felt like leaving. I felt like I was at work, but without I was on my phone. And it's like, if you're out and you're in a club and you're with music and you're with people and you want to dance and you it's weird to be on your phone. But I don't know. It was just I don't know if I am over it. I'm over it. I'm over going to clubs a little bit. I want to do something else, and I don't know what else to do, and it's like, how do you make changes when you how do you change? There's I don't know, you just I wish, I don't know, it's so, I go and there's an emptiness about it. There's an emptiness about being, because you see it in music videos, and I remember growing up and idolizing that lifestyle. I remember watching MTV and the whole Britney Spears and Lindsay Lohan thing, and how they were always going out and stuff, and really idolizing it, and really just wanting that for myself. And that was a big when I went to LA and I started going to clubs and I started going out dancing and I started doing that sort of thing, I remember going out one night and I just remember thinking nobody else in my buttfuck hometown is here. They're all at home, in Alaska, not doing what I'm doing. And I really just thought so much of that, and I just and it was different in my hometown. I remember being maybe 14, and I went to a party, and it was a college party where most of the people there were college students and were in their 20s, and there were these boys there. And it was the first time I made out with somebody who was an adult. He was 23 and he was a skateboarder. And I don't know, skateboarding was a big deal. And he wasn't from my hometown, and he was there visiting. And and then the cops came because there's a noise complaint. And then they knew that we were underage, because they went and they took all of the underage girls and they put us in a room upstairs and hid us in a closet. And so there was me, my friend Marissa, and this other girl and stuff, and we were all still in high school. And I remember feeling like special, like no other girls from my high school are here hiding in a closet by being hidden by adult men, you know? And it was just, but the reality was, like, these boys were fucking losers because they were trying to fuck 14-year-olds, you know? And so last night, and I just honestly, like, it's just like that whole line. It's just like, I'm getting too old for this shit. Like, I'm just too old to go to fucking clubs. I'm so done with it. I should be a mom, dude. Like, I should be married, you know? That's like a big thing of mine. It's a big shame is that, like, I remember waking up one day last year, 2 years ago, and just being like, fuck, I don't have a man. I don't have a baby. What's wrong with me? And yeah, and it's just like, I don't know why, but it's just like seeing the reality of like the situation that there's like this, and then the guy who ended up buying bottle service for the booth that I was in, for the DJ booth, was like this, like, you know, 50-year-old man, you know, who like had a lot of money. And so he bought champagne and he poured the champagne. He started passing it around to all these girls and stuff, and, you know, and it's like, thank you, you know, and stuff like that. And he's just buying attention for himself. And I don't know, it's just so empty. It's so ridiculous. And just the amount of money that, like, it was just like cheap champagne, cheap vodka, and it like that they charge like hundreds and hundreds of dollars, like thousands of dollars. They charge so much money for this shit. And it's all about just this guy, this 50-year-old man passing out, you know, cheap champagne to these girls in the booth with him. You know, what does that do for him? I wonder. Like, what does that do? And I mean, I don't know, doesn't this guy have a woman? Doesn't this guy have children? Why is he here? Why was he there last night? And this club promoter, I wanted to invite a friend out with me, and I asked if I could invite this friend out with me, and he asked like what her Instagram was, and I sent him her Instagram, and he was like, no, like I can't, because she wasn't attractive enough, or he didn't see her as attractive enough. She's very beautiful. She's, you know, and she, I don't know. I think because of my morals and because of what I think about that kind of thing, I should never have gone out to another club ever again, because I shouldn't be going where some of my friends aren't allowed to go because of the way they look. And yeah, but I don't know what it does for people to have, you know, these, you know, underage girls hiding in a closet while cops come in and talk to them, turn off the noise or whatever. And but yeah, I don't know what it does for this man to hand out champagne, but you're buying status. You're buying a reminder that you have status. You have to remind yourself that you have status by spending all this money on alcohol at a club. For spending far more. The markups at these clubs are crazy. I think in the Molly Bloom movie, Molly's Game, like, I think she explains it like really, really well, and that Aaron Sorkin, I guess, explains it really well, is that you're essentially going, if you went into to buy jeans, and you'd have to like buy jeans for 300% what they're worth, more than what they're worth, and then you'd have to buy them for every person that works in the store. It's crazy. That's just insane. And I I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my, I know it's just is what it is, but I'm really trying to wrap my head around it, what that is and what that means to people and why people do that and why I'm doing it and why I'm partaking in the way that I am. And because everyone wants to feel special. I guess that's what it is. And maybe if you have money, money can buy you that feeling of feeling special. And I don't know. I think like one thing my dad always tells me is that I'm really nice to homeless people. My dad is there was this homeless lady that like frequented my neighborhood, and her name is Rose, and I'm not bragging about myself or what a good do-gooder I am, but I would buy Rose cigarettes, I'd buy Rose beer, because that's what you should do. I mean, if a homeless person asks you to buy them alcohol or cigarettes, you don't, it's better than giving them cash to buy heroin, you know what I mean? And it's, and also they go into these stores to buy these things, and sometimes they get turned away, or also they get judged and stuff. So it's just better to have somebody not judge them, give them what they really are asking for when they ask for cash, because a lot of the time they're really not asking for cash for food and shelter. They're asking for cash for drugs and alcohol and cigarettes, and no judgment, but I was always really nice to Rose, and she was just a sweet old lady with gout, who's like sat in a wheelchair, and she would get tickets a lot for having beer. So I would put beer, I would go to 7-Eleven, and I would get beer, and I'd pour it into a thing for her, like a container for her, and I would give it to her, and maybe just chat with her and ask her about her day and stuff. And what that does for me maybe isn't coming from the genuine goodness of my heart. Maybe it's coming from a place of guilt, or a place of pride that I'm on the side of life's losers, and I'm a true bohemian that sees every person as the same. And maybe that's my image, and maybe that's what I want to put out there into the world, and maybe that's fake. I don't know. I do like being nice to people, Maybe not everybody likes being nice to people, and maybe me liking to be nice to people actually does make me a good person in a way. But being born and being good looking is currency, and that's always been a fact. And when I was in school, I was always broke. I had so much trouble balancing, being in school and needing to work and stuff. And so I discovered Tinder, and I discovered I could go on dates really easily, and I could get dinner really easily. And that's actually literally how I fed myself some nights, is that I would set up dates to meet, and so I would go out with guys, and I would just talk to them, and I would, order a lot, take food to go and stuff. And one night, and it was just this total scam, I was running this total scam on Tinder. And I went out with this one guy who was just kind of difficult, and I don't know, maybe he could tell I wasn't really interested in him. And then at the end of dinner, he wanted to split the check. And this guy made money, you know what I mean? He was like, I forget what he did, but he worked for like the hockey team in LA, and so I wanted to shame him really badly. And so I could have just taken off. I excused myself, and I went to go to the bathroom, and I could have just taken off. You know what I mean? I could have just left him there with the check, and I thought about it, and I didn't do that. I wanted to shame him. I wanted to make him feel bad for not, for asking to split the check with me, which I thought was ridiculous, because it was like I think I was like interning at the time, or I was, And, and so I called my father, and my father was in this very abusive marriage at the time, and she didn't want him lending me any money at the time. She was this total psychopath, you know what I mean, who, I mean, she wasn't a psychopath for, not wanting my dad to lend me money, but she was just a total psychopath, just in general. And so I called my dad, and I was like, Dad, like, this guy isn't gonna is like trying to split the check with me. And so instead of asking for what I needed to split the check, so my dad could send me, like, transfer money into my bank account so I could have enough money to afford to split the check with him, I asked him to send me enough money for the entire check. And my dad was like, I don't know, I don't care, I don't know. And I was like, Dad, just do it. And so he did. And so my dad sent me the money, and I, like, went down, and I was like, you know what? You clearly are really hurting for money, and I didn't realize, and I just started shaming this guy for not wanting to pick up the entire check. And I picked up the check with money that was my dad's, it wasn't mine. I didn't work for that money. And so I just shamed this guy, and I paid for dinner, I paid for him, I paid for me, and I just sort of left. And I don't know, and I just I realized I wanted to support myself, and I realized I wanted to have that independence. I wanted to have that fuck you money of, I don't know why I went there, but there is something about paying for yourself, and there is something about paying for other people that does give you a sense of pride in yourself, and I get it. I get why men like that in a way. But it's sort of like a domination thing. You know what I mean? It's sort of like an ownership thing, maybe. That because it is, like, there's like a fucking harem, Ugh, sorry, there's ash on mine. It's like a harem, you know what I mean? You're buying yourself a harem, and you're buying champagne for these girls that you don't know, that are just, don't give a shit about you. Like, don't think you're cute. Don't think you're charming. You know what I mean? But you're buying them, but champagne as like as a status, and as like you own these women, And, yeah, anyways, that's a little bit of that's a thought that's just, anyways, I went home early last night. I've been going home early from the club. I usually am like the last person to leave. I love dancing. And, but I left early. I just kind of didn't feel like being there. And, I don't know, like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with, like, going out and going dancing, but I just wasn't feeling it last night that much. And anyways, well, that's my vlog today. Oh, and by the way, I'm working really hard on the Adnan Syed thing. I just, I want to do something that's really well researched. It's very factual. I did my last video based on the actual case against Adnan Syed. Based on my memory, I was obsessed with this case, and just like I mean, because it's just listening to the Serial podcast, you just can't wrap your head around this guy's innocence at all. I mean, it's just like he's guilty, he's guilty, he's guilty, oh, he's guilty, oh, he's guilty, oh, he's still guilty, and and that's just where your mind always goes. I mean, not everybody's. I mean, the narrative about the Adnan Syed case, the way they structure it and stuff like that, leaving details out, putting details in, twisting things around, just like the narrative of him, being just like the narrative. I noticed in the comments, I've been getting comments from people, some very supportive about his guilt, and some very like, you're stupid, you don't know what you're talking about, I think you should listen to this podcast. I did, by the way. anyways, I'm just started like projecting about these comments I've been getting about the Adnan Syed thing. And, but, I mean, they leave shit out. You know what I mean? They're leaving a lot of shit out. Things that point to Adnan Syed's guilt. In the documentary, in the Serial podcast, in the Undisclosed podcast, they're leaving shit out. Shit that happened, factors to be considered, that they are deliberately leaving out because they are narratives meant to titillate and entertain and meant to get people involved in this case based on this poor boy who was falsely accused of murdering his ex-girlfriend, spending the rest of his life in prison. When he fucking did it. You know, sorry. Like, I'm not sorry. Like, he did it. I'm not sorry to say that. I'm not sorry to say a murderer is a murderer. When you hear hooves, it's not gonna be a fucking zebra. You know what I mean? If it's a fucking America. When you hear hooves in America, it's a horse. It's a cow. It's a sheep. You know, it's not gonna be a zebra. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's just like the narrative of just this total crazy conspiracy that this guy is a fucking zebra is just not how things work. It's just, I mean, sorry, I mean, like, that doesn't, but, it's taking, anyways, it's taking longer than I thought. I want this to be a really good thing. I want to defend a murdered girl the best of my ability, and so it's just taking me a while, and I want to take time to do it, so it's not going to be coming out this week. I'm going to take my time, and I'm going to really focus on making sure that these rants are presented with facts about the case and about, you know, untwisting the narratives of the documentary and the podcast. So I'm just going to take my time, and I'm going to put these out there when I'm, you know, ready. And anyways, I hope you have a lovely day, and thank you for watching my vlog. I hope everyone has a lovely day. Bye.